Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Rowell. Alright, I got a little project to work on today. I got an issue with my dishwasher again. Yep, we're back to that again. It's making a weird noise and we need to track down what the issue is, and well, let you see and hear what the problem is. Yeah, this is the problem I'm having with the dishwasher right now. The whirring sound you hear is the circulating motor. There's two motors there, there's two pumps in there. One of them that circulates the water around during the washing cycle, and one of them that pumps the water out between the cycles. Obviously there's something wrong with the recirculating pump, so we're gonna see if we're gonna open it up today. We're gonna take it apart and we're gonna see if it's just something stuck in there that's making noise, or if the far more likely explanation is that it's losing a bearing and just needs to be replaced. So time to figure this out. So the first thing I did was remove the dishwasher from the kitchen and move it out onto the garage and kind of lay it down on its side. I think the problem is in this pump right here. This is the recirculating pump. You see there's two pumps here. There's this little one here that's connected to the drain, and that's what opens up and pumps the water out at the end of the cycle. But this is the pump that does all the circulating the water inside. And I noticed when I pulled stuff apart, there seemed to be a little moisture in there, and I'm seeing some rust on this bracket, and this bracket is attached to this motor. So I'm guessing what's going on is it's starting to degrade in there, and worst case scenario, I figured we just have to replace this pump, and I think that's what's going to end up happening here, because once you get that much rust on here, that's not going to get better. And if it's rusting the inside there, that's what's making the roaring sound that we heard in that last scene. So I'm gonna have to go online, order this thing, and fortunately I've done a couple of loads of dishes in the last few days, so I should be all right for a while. But let's go to the website and see if I can find a replacement, and what it's gonna cost, and how long it'll take to get it here. And I know there's people right now that are yelling at their screens saying, why don't you just buy a new one? You keep having problems with this thing. One, new dishwashers cost a lot of money. I'd rather spend $100 on a new pump than $800 on a new dishwasher. Plus, I get a vlog out of it. So, you know, why not, right? Alright, so that took a little bit of searching, but I did find the pump that I'm looking for and have it on order. Should be here in a few days. I'm still having a little bit of problem finding this bracket. So I don't know exactly, maybe the bracket is just something that I'm going to have to try and clean up a little bit and reuse it if I can. For now, I think I want to try and take this thing out so I know how it works. It looks like it's all kind of held in by these two screws right here, at which point everything just kind of snaps apart. There's a couple of plugs here to disconnect, but I don't see it connected anywhere else. So yeah, I think if I get that disconnected, we should be good to go. Let's try that out. Alright, after placing the order for the new pump, I decided I wanted to see how easy it was to remove the old one. And the old one came out pretty well. There was just this little bracket there that was holding it in. It had a couple screws out. Once those screws are removed, the bracket slid out and the pump popped off in my hand really easy. Now when I got in there, I did notice that there was something in the impeller. I don't know if that was what was making the noise, if it was slowing things down, but I'm concerned about the fact that there's an awful lot of tension on this motor, which means that maybe the pump is worn out, or maybe the impeller's gone bad, or there's a leak or something in there, bearing's gone bad. A lot of that stuff can happen when these things get used for a long period of time, and frankly this has been used for quite a while. So it's the best move, I think, to replace it. I've got the order made. I was even able to clean this thing up a little bit. I'll probably clean it up a little bit more, spray paint it maybe a bit, but I think probably what happened is there's these little O-rings here and here on here, and I think that one of them started leaking, and that was how you start getting liquid all over the place. Probably this one here, because this one leaks to the outside. Anything that leaks here leaks to the inside, so that's not going to be. So it must be a problem on this O-ring here, and the new pump comes with a new O-ring, so that'll be a good thing. Just got to pop it back into place, plug it back into the plugs, reattach the bracket, like I said, which I think while it's still got a little bit of rust on it, it looks a lot better than it did. And I think if I paint it and cover it up, if we can just keep it dry in the future, it'll be fine. We don't need to replace it because, like I said, I tried to find that bracket and couldn't find one. So the pump's on order. We'll have it hopefully in a few days, and I'll catch up with you then, and we'll finish this bad boy off. All right, it's been about 5 days since I ordered the pump. It actually arrived yesterday. It's always a good thing when you can set it up beside the old one. It looks like the same thing. Came with new O-rings, which I think was part of the problem. And so we're going to get this thing installed right now, get it back together, and hopefully we can get a load of dishes gone through today. I've been doing dishes by hand for the last 5 days or so, and let's just say I'm not a huge fan of that. I would much prefer having a dishwasher. That's the point of having a dishwasher, right? So let's get this pump installed and get it back together, and we can run a load of dishes. So I got the O-rings there reinstalled. That was actually the main reason I elected not to try and repair the pump, because once I got the pump open, I realized that there was this piece of plastic that was stuck in the pump, and I think that was maybe part of the reason why it was making so much noise. But when I got it open, I noticed that the O-rings seemed to be a little loose on this one, and I think it was leaking. And so I actually elected to go with a brand new pump just because the new pump would come with new O-rings, and hopefully we'd solve two problems with one stone here. But yeah, like I said, I think that was what was in there. I have no idea what that is or where it came from. But like I said, it was in the bottom of the pump when I opened it up, and that was no doubt what was making the grinding noise that we heard at the beginning of the video. But like I said, the new pump should be good to go. We're going to get that thing installed, and let's see if that solves our problems. All right, the new pump is back into place. I got the little retaining bracket reconnected. I got the power reconnected, so this should be ready to go now. Because there was a little bit of a leak before, I think what I want to do is I'm going to hook it up inside the house, but I'm not actually going to push it into the enclosure yet. I want to run it outside the enclosure for one cycle just to make sure we don't have any leaks, because it's easier to deal with the leaks while I already have the system out than to put it back in, discover there's a leak, which is going to be hard to do because you need to be able to see underneath the dishwasher to verify that there actually is a leak, and when it's in the enclosure that doesn't work very well. So it just makes sense to me to run this thing outside of the enclosure for a little bit so I can see if we are leaking, because like I said, I want to fix that now. I didn't realize I had a leak until I pulled the pump out initially and saw the floor was all wet and saw that this was all rusty and all that fun stuff. So like I said, I want to deal with that ahead of time to make sure there are no problems before we get it in there and run everything. So I'm going to bring this back into the house. We're going to hook it up temporarily, and we're going to run a cycle. All right, I got the dishwasher back in. I actually wanted to have it pulled out completely from the counter, but unfortunately the water supply hose isn't long enough to make it all the way from the supply under the sink over here to the dishwasher. So I ended up having to push it in a little bit. But what we'll do is we'll run a cycle on this, then we'll pull it back out again and see if we have any problems. And if not, we'll reinstall it permanently, and this project will be complete. So let's just start off. And right now, it since it was disconnected, it isn't sure where it was in the power cycle. So right now, it's trying to drain everything out, and there's nothing in there to drain. And then it will start with the full cycle. So we're going to listen for it to start pumping water into it, and then I specifically want to hear the circulation motor start running. Make sure not getting that grinding noise. So I'll catch up with you in a little bit. All right, it finished the drain cycle, and it pumped some more water into the chamber, and it's now circulating around. This is definitely an improvement over what was there. So like I said, we're going to let it run its entire cycle and see how we turn out. And if this continues to work as well as it is so far, I think this project is done. All right, about an hour has gone by, and I'm looking underneath. I don't see any leaks. I don't see any evidence of problems, and we've definitely made the thing, the pump is definitely working properly now. You can hear it. Okay, it just switched now. It's pumping water out between cycles. And that pump's a little noisy, but that's okay. I'm not as worried about that. First off, that'll get deadened a little bit when we push the whole thing back onto the counter, because then a lot of that will be blocked off. But this is another one of those cases where, hey, I opened up the dishwasher, I found a problem with it, and I was able to repair it. And you look at a new dishwasher right now, you're looking at $800 up. I got a new pump for this one for $136, and we're back in business again. One of the other problems you kind of run into with some of the new appliances like this is they're focusing more on being environmental than they are in doing their job, and sometimes they become so environmental that they can't actually do the job. You can't even call it a dishwasher anymore if it doesn't wash your dishes. So the fact that I've been able to take an existing dishwasher that does a good job and repair it rather than buying an inferior model that might not last as long, might not do as good of a job, that's worth the trouble to me. So I'm glad we got this fixed. I think we're going to wrap up this video for now. So anyway, that's what I got. Thanks as always for watching. See you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.